Chapter 7. It took Den 30 minutes to get to her apartment. He did not seem surprised by the paralyzed man on the floor. He looked at the bullet holes in Kess's blouse. "You all right?" "I'm fine," she said, and kicked the shooter. "Do you know how expensive these blouses are?" Den gave Kess a look and crouched next to the shooter. "Who is he?" "His name is Marcus Doyle. He's ex-military. The question is, who hired him?" she said. Den stood up. "We'll book him, run biometrics, see what comes back." "No," Kess said. "Why not?" "I have a better idea," she said. "Like what?" "A mind rip." Den shook his head. "No, absolutely not." Den. "That's not a gray area, Turner. That's a felony. Forced neural extraction without consent or judicial authorization. I'd lose my badge. I'd lose my pension. I'd go to prison. I know what it is." "Then you know it's forbidden." "Eden Voss is dead. 5 people at the foundation are dead. Someone just sent a shooter to my quarters, and every time I get close to the next link in the chain, it gets cut before I can grab it. Whoever is running this operation has people inside your government, inside your police force, and they are faster than we are. Every time we follow procedure, they already know about it. That doesn't change the law. At this moment, I don't give 2 fucks about the law. Don't you see, Den? These cunts are hiding behind the law. If you are not prepared to be more ruthless and more vicious than they are, you will never take them down," she said. "Fuck," Den said, staring at the man on the ground. Finally, he said, "I know a woman." They moved Marcus Doyle after dark. Den brought a municipal security van with no markings, and they loaded the shooter in the back, still rigid, wrapped in a utility blanket. Kess sat with Marcus while Den drove. She occupied her time by searching Marcus's pockets. She didn't expect to find anything, and she didn't. "Any luck?" Den asked. "No, our little killer is clean." She patted his cheek. "That was your work at the foundation, right?" On his back, Marcus continued to stare at the top of the van. The drug prevented any movement. The road took them down through the service levels of Tier 1, past the maintenance corridors and recycling plants, into a section of Savitar that wasn't on the public directory. Decommissioned manufacturing, dark corridors, dead air handlers, the smell of old lubricant and dust. Den parked the van inside a loading bay and killed the lights. The woman was already there. Her name was Sura. She was small and sharp-featured. She had the equipment set up on a metal table under a portable work light. The warehouse around them was dark. The machine was a neural extraction rig. It was a processing unit the size of a briefcase, trailing cables that ended in a crown of contact probes, each one tipped with a needle designed to penetrate the skull and interface directly with the brain's neural architecture. There was no anesthetic, no monitoring system for the subject's vitals, and no fail-safes. Sura tapped the table. "Put him here." Kess went to the van with Den trailing behind. Kess opened the rear door, reached in, grabbed an ankle, and jerked Marcus to the door. "It's not too late to stop," Den said. Kess patted Marcus's leg. "He's already killed 5 people. He's earned what's about to happen. Stop trying to cheat him out of it," she said. Den sighed and grabbed Marcus's legs. Kess took his shoulders, and together they carried him to the table. The paralytic was wearing off. His fingers were twitching. His eyes moved, tracking Sura as she positioned the crown over his head. "Hold him," Sura said. Den pinned Marcus's shoulders while Kess held his head steady. Sura positioned the crown over his scalp and activated it. A soft whine filled the room as the device came to life. The probes extended automatically, finding their marks before driving themselves into his skull. The shooter's body convulsed against the fading paralytic. A low, guttural sound escaped him, trapped behind a jaw that still refused to open. His spine arched. Den leaned his weight down and held. A thin line of blood ran from where the needles went in, tracked across the scalp, and dripped onto the metal table. Sura did not look at any of it. She was watching the unit, where a column of readouts had begun to scroll. "He's in," she said. "How long?" Kess asked. Sura shrugged. "Could be an hour, maybe 2. His brain will be jelly before it's over." "Will it hurt?" Kess asked. "Yeah, it's not pleasant." "Good." The mind rip pulled memories the way a barbed hook pulls flesh, dragging neural patterns through the extraction interface by brute electrical force. The shooter's body jerked and spasmed on the table. The sounds he made got worse. His eyes were open and wild. rolling in their sockets, the whites showing. Blood ran from his nostrils and from the probe insertion points around his skull. Sura watched the display and adjusted settings and showed no reaction to any of it. Den looked away twice. Both times he forced himself to look back. Kess never looked away. 1 hour, 17 minutes later, Sura said, "I've got something." She isolated a memory cluster and ran it through the display. Images appeared, fragmented and overlapping, like photographs thrown in a pile. A room, a desk, a face across the desk. The audio was broken, cutting in and out. "Clean it up," Kess said. Sura worked the controls. The image sharpened. The audio resolved into fragments of a conversation. The face belonged to a man in his 60s, lean, with a narrow face and iron gray hair swept back from a high forehead. He was sitting behind a large desk in what looked like a private office. The furnishings were expensive. The audio came through in pieces. "Detective GBI needs to be handled. Clean, no connection back to..." "Do you know him?" Kess asked Den. Den stared at the screen for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was disbelieving. "That's Aldrin Vasek." "Who is Aldrin Vasek?" "Vasek Industrial, defense contracting, shipbuilding, weapon systems. They are huge. He's one of the wealthiest men in the empire." "He ordered the hit on me," Kess said. "He's out of reach," Den said. The shooter was still on the table. His spasms had stopped. His breathing was shallow and irregular. Blood pooled under his head from the probe wounds. His eyes were open but unfocused. Kess looked at him and extended the pins on her right hand. She placed her fingers against the shooter's neck, just below the jaw. The full dose deployed. Not the paralytic. The lethal compound. It stopped his heart. Sura didn't react. She was already packing her equipment. Den stood by the wall with his arms folded. He didn't look at the body. "What now?" Den asked. "I'm going to have a talk with Mr. Vasek," she said. "What about him?" Den asked. "Leave him," she said. "Christ, Kess."